Hi there. This is Hugh. I'm getting ready to go live with this really good workshop. Really good workshop. And I'm going to pin a message at the top here. Say something. It says, grow your impact through collaboration. Okay. Yes, we're going live here. So thank you for being here. Please share if you will. And we're going to go live on YouTube. Good morning to everyone. This is Hugh. This is the workshop on how to build a stronger, more effective nonprofit organization through collaboration. Collaboration is the way to get more impact for you and for the person, the organization, or the entity that you collaborate with. So we have people coming on, so I'm going to have an easy start. And thank you for being here. This is one of many webinars. These are all live through Tuesday, the 17th. And each one is different. So if you have, hey, Matt, thanks for being here. So if you have a question or something, just throw it into the chat. I'll try to address it before I stop. But I want to give you lots of overview information, some data, and then invite you to consider the community where we can continue growing and learning together. The topic is collaboration. And specifically, if you're a nonprofit leader, is there a business leader where you are that supports your mission? And are you really clear on what that is? And if they do, how will it be good for their business? Well, it will be good for their business. That's not their motivation. Motivation is helping the nonprofit, but they're going to learn more about your nonprofit through the collaboration. They really want to help, but they don't know all the ways they can help. And even if they get in here, they can even do more because they understand more. So the collaboration means less effort on everybody's part, more efficient use of resources, and greater impact into the markets that you serve. So I'm going to share my screen and walk through some slides that will help drive the point home. If you want the slides, you can certainly let me know. I do think that you don't need the slides. It's just make a few notes about what you want to do about it. So I approach things from my career as a musical conductor. We create harmony, we create energy, we create synergy in the culture. So in order to be an effective leader, everything stems from your strategy. Leadership from your strategy is how we proceed. So we focus on what we want to achieve. We're very clear on what we ask people to do, and we model what we want to see happen. So why am I sharing this? For 32 years, I've worked with a variety of organizations, and I've seen them challenged. I've seen them fail. I've seen them not reach the mark. And there's really a way to prevent this failure, this minimalist, I don't know what we call it. It's this minimalist thinking that keeps us back. We're running a tax exempt business. We don't run it for profit. We run it for purpose. We do have proceeds, not profits. Proceeds go back into the organization, go back into the mission, help us grow our ability to serve more people. So we're going to work through setting a goal, making a plan. Don't give up. Don't give up. We're stressed. We worry about things. That's not a productive emotion, but I know we're stressed. We're all stressed. Half of nonprofit leaders quit, they leave, they're burned out, they're stressed. We can minimize it. That was before this situation with COVID. Sorry, I got a block in my throat today. So what's blocking us? We're going to talk about a lot of things today, but think about what's going to help unlock your potential, release the blocks that keep you from the very thing that's going to make a difference. As you look at all these, think about, if you're a nonprofit leader, who would you call up that's a supporter, a business person, to say, I'd like to work close together because there's some things we could do for each other that would benefit both of us. And then you'll learn some things here to talk about. So break through your blocks. Having that conversation might be a block. Oh, they're too busy. So sit back a minute, and you should do this after this workshop. What does success mean to you? What is success? And each of you will have your own definition. But what does it mean? And just take a piece of paper and jot it down. And it may not all come to you now, but it will come to you throughout. So make a little block on your notes. Define success for you and your organization. You're running an organization. It might be a for-profit business, or a for-purpose charity. We're running it to provide value to other people. Providing value is why we're here, and that generates revenue. So there's a reciprocity, all of this. So make a little note place, and you keep adding to it as we go along here. Things will occur to you. So visualize the dream that you have. It's an active nonprofit. It's impacting people's lives. We have an engaged and active board that are actually doing things. That sounds silly. Of course they're doing things. Not what they're capable of doing. And your volunteers, they're going to do minimal things. No. What if we pivoted from volunteers to servant leaders? Here's your channel. Here's what you do. People work because they have a passion. They show up because they want to fulfill that passion. Lower the stress. Here's your dream. Everybody's active. You're not doing it. Everybody's doing it with you. You have less stress, and there's regular recurring revenue from 8 different streams. And people know your organization. They really have it together. So here's what we're going to talk about here today. And I'm going to see if I can order some water in here so I don't have to go away. Can you bring me water? So I want to make a plea for water so I don't have to cough the whole time. There's 5 unique challenges today for nonprofits on top of what we've already had. How do we define what the real problem is? We think we know what the problem is, but what is the real problem? Is it one step removed from what you think it is? How to develop a plan of action to go forward, how to set priorities for what needs to happen. We get sucked into the micro when we ought to be working on the macro. They're both important, in sequence, in the right time, the right amount of energy. So take notes. Yes. Think about what you're going to do about this. Understand the concepts. Who are the people that come to mind? Grab it, just jot it down. And then before you leave, what are you going to do next? I'm going to give you a call to action. What will you do as a result of what we've talked about here? So here's the 5 top challenges I see that are prevailing in today's world, especially for those who are nonprofit leaders and clergy. There's a great fear of the unknown. There's a lot of uncertainties with health, with politics, with finance. There's a lot of uncertainty today. So we don't know. There's things that are uncertain. We don't know if we can do this, we can do that. So the fear of what we don't know, the uncertainty of what we can do, and then there's just a culture of anxiety and conflict in the communities, in the culture. And there seems to be, for some organizations, less funding available. And so they're having to tighten their belt. And then there's limits to what we can do. We cannot gather like we used to. We cannot invite people in and feed them in the shelters anymore. We have to be creative. It's time to pivot. So let's take these one at a time. Is that you? So what we don't know. How bad is the virus? What's going to happen Q1 with the economy? It's bad now. How many more businesses will close? Are we safe even talking to our family? Can we travel? And we want to stay home because there's too much conflict, and we want to avoid conflict when conflict might be a sign of energy. And it might be just that we need to find out where the conflict is and use that as a creative way to have a conversation. Because in the conflicts, there might be some agreement. And then the facts, there's a lot of misinformation, as there always has been. It just seems to be amplified with all the anxiety. So those things are factoring where the people show up to help. Your board shows up, your volunteer shows up. All that's a factor. And then the uncertainty that we have because of that. We had a direction before, and so we don't really know if that's still the same direction. So we used to do things a certain way, and we used to have a system that everybody thought they knew. Well, we don't really have the same direction. The systems are a little fuzzier because we don't know if we have permissions to do this or that. And so our goals are vague because we've not had time to sit down, thank you, and revise them, rethink them in context of where we are. We set goals, but it's really important to have time to revise those and update those. And then we doubt things, but we're not sure why we doubt it or exactly what we doubt. But it's not settled. So there's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of anxiety. People are anxious and it comes out in different ways. So when somebody's harsh to you, be patient. It might not be about you or about the topic in conversation. It might be something totally different. We have a culture that's been this way for as long as I can remember. The media is selling papers, they're selling airtime. They're going to report things that are going to make you come listen to them. So they're going to jump on what gets eyeballs. So they're fueling whatever situation there is. People feel unsafe because we've got conflict, because they don't want to talk about it. And then we're talking about others. We're not talking to each other. We're talking about each other. People want to criticize without realizing, I might be guilty of some of this myself. All right. Lower funding. Yeah, look at that. There's the Ben Franklin with the mask on. So there's less. Actually, there's more, but it's not going out to all the groups that need it because we're not really good at knowing how to attract it. There's more grants. There's more sponsorships. There's more private donors. People are stepping up and digging deeper. We have to be better, especially now, last quarter of the year, getting on it. There's less business support because some businesses have closed. Some have cut back their marketing money. And there's less donor confidence. They're holding on because they don't know if they're going to donate to an organization that won't be here next week. And we're not able to do as much outreach marketing events as we used to. We have to be creative about all of this. So, limited support services. So I covered that up on my graphic. More restrictions, rules. There's rules for gathering. We just can't do what we used to do the same way. Choirs can't sing. We can't have church like we used to. There's less interaction, and it's the interactive human part that we're missing. We can't duplicate that on Zoom. And then the support services that we did have aren't there anymore. So we have to rethink how we do things. So what are we going to do about all this? And those aren't all the issues we're facing. Those are some that I see just really amplified in the market right now. Those are the stressors. So we can't simplify it to only 5, but those are ones that concern me. So here's some areas. Let's think about how to counter those with some viable strategies. And I call this continuing improvement. There's a corporate program called continuous improvement. I'm not talking about that. This isn't a program or system. It's a commitment to self-growth, organizational growth, looking at the systems and being aware. Self-awareness is a good leadership trait, which is very rare. So let's take these one at a time. I just made a quick list. So you see there's a bunch. So everything comes from your roadmap. We call it a strategy. In SYNERVISIC, we call it a solution map. Where you want to be, it's clearly defined in present tense. And then the strategy is steps to get there. From your strategy, you can also create what's called a business plan. Now, you say, we're not a business. Yes, we are. We're a tax exempt business. You're a C corporation, a non stock C corporation. You are, in fact, a business. And it's time to put a business hat on. This is why we need to collaborate with some business leaders. They understand business. They don't understand that we're a business, and so you can help them think that way, and they can bring some of the resources into your world, and you can bring some other resources into their world. The possibilities are endless. This is an engagement tool. A strategy lets people know what to do when. It's a roadmap. It's like my musical score for the orchestra. I have my score. Everything that happens is in that score. Everybody has their part. They know when to play, how fast, how loud, what notes. Second, surround yourself with experts. Teams, that's a generic term. Your board, your volunteers, your committees, your advisor council, if you have one, your friends of the orchestra, friends of the library. There are alternate, the Sanctuary Guild, the Orchestra Guild. There are other teams that are groups. Sometimes they're official, sometimes they're informal. Surround yourself with the very best people. Be very clear to connect them to the strategy, and your strategy also will tell you the particular competencies you need. So you recruit for competency and consistency with your vision and mission and with your values and principles. Define what they're going to do and learn how to get out of the way. What do people say about your organization when you're not there? Is your brand clear? Many organizations have a logo they misunderstand and think that's a brand. It's not a brand. It's a representation of your brand. It's a pretty image. It reminds people of your brand promise, your brand identity. What do people say about you? Oh, I don't want to give it to them because they waste too much money. This organization is really good because it impacts people's lives permanently. It's really, getting to simple is hard. What is the unique value you bring to the world? And is that value, are you sustainable? Is it competitive? What is your advantage over others? We're not competing, we're differentiating ourselves from others. So donors know they're not duplicating what they're giving. If there's a bunch of food charities in one area, then a donor doesn't know which one to give to. And if they diminish their money, give to all of them, it's not enough to make a difference for any of them. So think about a collaboration with similar charities in addition to your business collaboration. And then each of you decide why you exist. Why do people need you? Why do donors support you? Why should sponsors connect their brand with your brand? What is your market advantage? What do you do that's distinguished? It's hard to get there, but once you get there, it's a resonator. Money has ears. Fully utilize technology and don't do it yourself. Get experts. We post on social media. Social media is not about posting. That doesn't work. It's about creating relationships with people that say, what are you doing? How can I help you? Then you share your post. Clarify your vision. You're walking down the street, somebody you see stops you and says, hey, haven't seen you in a while. What is this thing you're working on? Boom, here's my vision. SYNERVISIC transforms leaders, transforming organizations, transforming the world. It's a continuous transformation. We're not changing things. We're building on what was before and clarifying and developing anew. We're in a place where pivot. We're in a pivot situation. Things didn't work. They'd worked less. Now, with the pandemic, they don't work. So it's time for us to pivot, not to new normal. There's no more normal. It's a new radical. What's radical? We have to do something different. Radical difference. You're not giving up. You're passionate. You're focused on what you're doing. Clarify your vision. Make sure it's still there. Make sure you can say it. Make sure everybody connected to your organization can say it right away. Simple, very clear. When you say it, people go, wow, wow. How do you do that? You don't talk about how you do. This is our entity. We transform people. Well, how do you do that? We do it through a lot of ways. Then you're in conversation. that's meaningful. All right, you got a strategy. It says it's going to cost this much at this date to produce these programs, these services, in personnel, in hard costs, in rent, trucks, whatever. You're providing a service. Well, it's got to be very clear that when somebody donates money, this is what happens. And you also need to know where that money's coming from. There's eight, count them, 8 streams of revenue. Not just donors, not just grants, not just sponsorships, not just events, not just planned giving, not just in kind, not just money from all those organizations like Rotaries and religious groups that help you. And then there's some earned income from affiliate programs, which could be substantial, a lot more than you get from your Amazon Smile. So we need a separate strategy. How will you reach those targets? Through a system we call a strategy. So it's a partner to your operational strategy. Here's your funding strategy. So we need a funding strategist, a development professional who knows how to talk money to all of those sources. The bulk of your resource will come from donors, private donors, corporate donors. Does this remind you of any meeting you ever went to? Boring, unproductive meeting? Let me share with you, if we have a bad rehearsal in music, we're likely to have a bad concert. We have bad meetings and we expect to have good results. Tell me that has any logic to it. We need to look at functioning systems. Here's one idea. If you just flip, remember the pivot? We're going to flip. New paradigm. We always get together. Here's the agenda. Ditch it. Ditch that word. It's a word that ties us to low performance. Replace the word agenda with the word deliverable. So agenda is an activity. We're going to talk about marketing. That's a typical example. So here we talk about this stuff. Well, right there is a flaw. We don't want to talk about it. We want to decide what to do. So a deliverable is a specific result. As a trained facilitator, certified facilitator, running meetings for 32 years, I learned how to get results in less time and empower people to do something. So when they're going out of the meeting, they're saying, I'm on it, instead of who will do it. Now, so revise your systems. Part of what we teach in the SYNERVISIC community is how to develop good systems. The annual review, it's broken. We're going to wait a year to tell people how they're doing. And there's always the tension of, do I get a raise? So think about changing. That's one thing. People are energized. They come in already knowing, because you sent it to them ahead of time, what you're going to finish with. You got 90 minutes of meeting, schedule 60 minutes of activity. Boom. It might take longer, but I guarantee you, if you end early, nobody will be angry. So what are we going to accomplish? That's what people want to know. Is this an information meeting? Is it a decision-making meeting? What are we doing? And what does it look like when it's done, and who will do it? That's built into the process, and you schedule how things happen. So rethinking process means letting go of some other terminology, because we're tied to, this is how we did it. It wasn't working. We can still do the same thing. It ain't going to work. Try something different, one thing at a time. Oh, is this your treasurer? I'm not going to tell you all the stuff. I've worked with several organizations in my past that the books were a mystery. How did this get here? What does this report look like? They were in a strange format. The guy got fired because too many business people said, we don't get this. What's going on? It was a Chamber of Commerce. So we need financial transparency. The board of directors is responsible for the finances of the organization, period. If they can't look at a financial report and know, that's a problem. They need to know everything about what went into it, where it's gone. That protects you. By the way, you want to file those reports in your corporate record book. Your business professional knows that. You keep your corporate records. That protects your corporate veil, your liability protection. So if you get sued or IRS comes knocking, you've got the documents right there. So insist on financial clarity. And if you have problems, tell the board. Don't keep it to yourself. So transparency builds trust, attracts money that is trust money. And then the last one, which isn't the final of everything, but there's another list of 10 that we could go to, but not today. Never stop working on yourself. Jim Rohn was a speaker, motivational speaker, author. He said, work on yourself harder than you work on your business. That's always true, because if you're better, your organization's going to be better. John Maxwell writes a lot of books on leadership, and he has the law of the lid. Our organization cannot function any better than our ability to lead it. So surrounding yourself with good people, collaborating with a business professional, working on yourself, it's transparency, it's vulnerability. Those are really good leadership traits. So let's dig into another part that I promised. What do we do about it? And so if you must have these, no doubt. In 32 years, I would say this is a summary of the 5 essential things any organization must have to be successful and have continuous revenue and be profitable. So in the strategy, that term is scary to people. There's a lot of pain in trying to do the planning. It doesn't feel good. It feels like I'd rather be helping people than doing this paperwork. It feels like I'm going to limit my creativity because I wrote it down, then I can't be flexible. Those are myths we tell ourselves, which are excuses. Define the future. Write it in present tense. Napoleon Hill interviewed 500 of the most successful business people in America. Every one of them had a clear, definite purpose. Every one of them did something that valued humankind. Every one of them knew they could succeed. A positive mental attitude. Failure was not an option. So why not write it down? Share it. Then people know where you're going. They know how to support you. And all the volunteers know where to be engaged. It's an engagement tool. So you define the future, then you define how you're going to get there. It doesn't need to be complex. That's why at SYNERVISIC, we call this a solution map. It's the way to your vision. This is accomplished. So you define the future. In present tense, you feed your subconscious mind from your conscious mind. It can't distinguish with what's true and made up. You tell it what's true. This is what's happened. There's an energy field, and you begin to attract people to your thoughts. Now, underneath the strategy, here's what it looks like long term, 4, 5, 6 years. So your goals, this is what it looks like in the next 12 months. People want to write hundreds of goals. Well, okay. Write them down, put them on index cards. You should end up with 3. We can only handle so many things at once. The more we go sideways, the less impact we're going to have and the more confusion we have. So if you write 100 goals, just say, here's all the things we're going to accomplish in the next year. Be bold, be creative. All right. Put them on index cards with markers and then start clustering them by topic, general topic. And typically you'll find here's a bunch that are about money. These are financial goals. How much revenue do we need? How much are we going to generate? All of these are about what generates it, programs and services, what costs money, programs and services. What do you offer? All your offerings. The last bunch is most likely, what does it take to deliver these programs and services? They either cost money or generate money. It's your operations. Do you have a building? Do you have computers? Do you have people? So if you group those cards and then you start prioritizing them. So setting priorities is looking at what comes first, what's maybe low-hanging fruit, what's next, and do these build on one another? At SYNERVISIC, we have lots of activities. We have the online community, which I'll tell you about, where we teach people these simple processes, and there's lots of them. There are many facets to leadership that most people don't consider until they get into the trenches and they get stuck and they say, oh, I didn't know that. Well, let me share from my vast experience of making mistakes that there's some things that would help you not fail, not go into a ditch, not hit the wall. So here you got 3 goals. Then you start working with your teams. You don't decide this, they do. Committees, boards. Okay, how will we achieve this goal? Here's the step-by-step process. That's not painful. Your strategy is your container for creativity. It doesn't limit your creativity. It empowers your creativity because it takes the stress away, and it's a goal-setting, unifying system, step-by-step system that everybody understands, everybody can do together. So a little bit of work on the front enables you to get a lot more done, frees up your time because other people know what to do. You're not having to tell them over and over. We are our own worst enemy in getting burned out. Systems is the answer. Skill. Skill. Leadership is a culture. Our job as leaders is to build leaders on teams who become self-sufficient and work within their channel. We each have a level of decision-making authority. We also collaborate together. So how do you build a skill set of yourself? The culture is a reflection of the leader. If you continue to tell them, I have doubt about my own skills, they're going to believe you. Just show up, do the best you can, realize nobody's perfect, but parts of me are excellent. And focus on those. That's why you have team members to fill in the gaps. Those things you don't need to do everything, but you don't do some things very well. That's fine. Delegation is a leadership skill. It's not a weakness. So we want people that we can have do things. Now, competency, leadership. It's about a lot of things. Just because you read a book doesn't mean you know it all. I'm 74. I've learned more in the last year than I learned in the first 73. So leader is an influencer, period. We get things done. We figure out how things get done. We influence people. We don't boss them. That's old. It doesn't work. People don't want to be bossed. They want to know what to do. And they want a channel to do it themselves. They don't want to be told how to do it. The team. If you're the smartest person on your team, that's a problem. There's some people that recruit down from them, people they perceive are less successful because they don't want to be threatened with somebody that's smarter than them. When in fact, the inverse is true. Everybody on your team should be smarter than you. You got the vision. They're going to synergize with getting it done. So choose the best people, build relationships, make sure that they understand your core values and your guiding principles. How do we make decisions for the benefit of the organization? This is your orchestra. Now, look, they all look different. They play different instruments. The instruments look different. They sound different. They all have different protocol of how they produce their sounds. It's very different playing a violin and playing an oboe, playing a trumpet, playing a tambourine. Very distinctively different skills, very distinctively different personalities. And there are people on your team that frame things differently. Here's an example. In the orchestra, a clarinet is a B-flat clarinet. A flute is a C instrument. So a flute plays a C. It sounds C. So it's the same. Boom, boom, C, C. Clarinet plays a C. It sounds B-flat. I don't know who made this up, but it's crazy. So they play this note. It sounds a different note. There are people that will come at it from a different perspective than you think they should. Like it's a surprise. Don't be surprised. They frame it differently. So the conductor sees the C on the score, and we know that it's really a B-flat. So that C has to be written as a D in order to sound in the same key as everybody else. So it's transposed. People transpose things in their perspective. It's not good or bad. It's who they are. We need to learn how to interpret that as a leader. I talked about systems. Decide how you're going to empower people with good systems. We kill team efforts with bad systems. We have a good strategy. We have a good person, really good people. Now we tie their hands. We go to board meetings where they can't do things. Board meetings are terrible. I have a friend that said they suck. Well, suck is halfway to success, Jeff McGee says. Let's go all the way to success. So how do we do that? We want to create systems where people can function. All right, we're rolling into money. No, we need to not have stress about money. That actually repels money. And when we go with our hat in our hand saying, oh, we need money, need does not attract money. So we need to create those multiple streams of income. We need to activate each one, and you should have a champion for each one. Your primary stream is your donor stream. Make sure you stay in touch with donors, telling them what's happened. You've been good stewards of their money. Their money has created impact in the world. It's been important that you can do something that manifested impact from their money. That's why they gave it. And they're more likely, if you stay in touch all year, they're more likely this time of year to come back and say, oh, yes, I am separately going to support you. Somebody has to manage that system. Somebody has to know who the donors are and stay in touch with them on a regular basis. So all of those other 8 streams that I listed, somebody needs to know those. You don't need to do them all. You need to have people on your teams that can help manage those. So we're looking for the competencies there. So how do we define the streams of income? How do we create channels to get money from those streams? And support. It's tough, the work we do. It's very tough. It's not impossible. We look at people who are successful and say they have no pain, they have no stress. They're just good at dealing with it. We all have stress. We all have pain. We all have doubt. We all have challenges. So it's good to have a coach to help us as a sounding board and accountability partner, one to help us learn what we need to learn, one that helps us find our blind spots and become self-aware. That's how we improve. And then a mastermind group is peers, peer-to-peer, not in your discipline, not your best friends, but people who are successful, and you meet whatever schedule you decide, and each person says, I have a problem, other people help solve it. And then everybody has a turn. It's a peer-to-peer group, and you get the perspective of other professionals, not in your profession. Do something that's different. The SYNERVISIC Leadership Foundation gives you some options for that, but they are mostly within our discipline. So you need the masterminds within your discipline to learn some things that work for people. In other places, they might work for you, or it might give you an idea what would work, and then create a feedback system. Now, having a mastermind group to include your business professional is certainly an option and a good way to go. You continue to say you learn from each other. Business professionals have their own set of challenges. And some of the things we learn as nonprofit leaders are good, sound business principles. In my experience, there are many business professionals that could learn those and benefit from those. What are you going to do next? You learn how to set priorities. You learn, okay, we think this is a problem, but really the problem might start with me. The problem might be, I don't have a strategy. The problem might be one of these remedies that I gave you. That's the real problem. We think the problem is something else, but if we've got our act together, we have our systems, we have our network together, we have our teams together, then we approach the world in a more effective, reasonable way. So expand your funding strategy to think about new ways of funding. You know, a good evaluation to do you with your team is a three leg. What are we doing that's working? That might be a smaller list than it was a year ago. What do we need to change? What do we need to stop doing? Second column, new ideas. Third column, what are some new things we need to consider? So consider is the word. You do some brainstorming. It opens up options. It's nonlinear thinking. Boom, all the options count. Then you go back and say, okay, are some of these similar? We can combine them. It's a better idea. Some of them are totally unworkable, but they might have led us to something else because we thought that way. Freeform thinking is very good. So your collaborations within your group and outside your group, it's coming together, getting the best thinking of the minds we have drawn to the charitable work we're doing. So you're going to come up with, okay, here's some new things we need to do. Those are new objectives. How do we get there? Don't do it. Have the team do it. Say, okay, how are we going to get there? If they define the action steps, they're on it. They own it. So what are we going to do first? What do we absolutely have to do? Learn and teach consensus. The priorities are important because you don't want to get distracted. We are entrepreneurs. We're social entrepreneurs. We've got this shiny object. We got to do this. We got to do this. We get sucked into the micro, the unessential, the unimportant, at the expense of the essential and the important. They're crucial things we need to do before they become urgent. We don't want to spend our critical time now working on urgent things that are not important or low importance. Those need to be in systems that take care of themselves. So how many times have you been sucked into an emergency dealing with some minor thing that took you away from major thing? It's taken care of in the planning. They still slip through the cracks, but if you could cut down percentage of those, how much time could you save and how much more productive could you and your team be? So priorities help you filter out what you should not be doing at the current moment. Could be later, but priorities are, let's deal with this before it becomes urgent. Learn and teach consensus, the most misunderstood team tool in the world. People confuse compromise and consensus. Compromise is lose lose. Everybody gives up something. You walk out feeling like you've been taken advantage of. It's a lose lose, no deal. Consensus is a win win. You think this, I think this. Let's talk about it. It's a decision hammered out in a conversation backed by relationship. You've come to something that's better than either one of you brought to the table. And if you do it with your team, they give their consent to the decision, not unanimous agreement. It's consent to the decision. It's not my way or the highway. It's what can we do for the good of the group? And it might not be your desire, but you could see through this conversation that it's the best decision for the organization. And then stay connected with your supporters. Supporters give you time, talent, and money. All right, collaborations. Talk about it. It's a theory. In my experience, it's not a theory that works in real life unless we learn how to do it. So we need to say, we can work better together to find somebody to talk to and then have a conversation. Let's take your business professional. They have given you a donation. They're on your board, might be a board chair, might be an advisor. Have a conversation. Say, is there a way we could work together that would benefit your business, benefit you, benefit this organization, that we could learn some things together, because their work in the community is their reputation and they're philanthropists. It's good for their business. And how it's good for their business, you work out together. It's not the reason, but it is the benefit of collaboration. Plus, they're doing good. Plus, they feel good about it. Plus, they're going to influence other business professionals. So there's an energy field that goes with a collaboration. You could also collaborate with some other nonprofits that do similar work, but you could divide up. We do this, they do that. You get more done working together, less effort, less administration, less cost, less stress. We can attract more money if we work together because we're more productive, we're more efficient. So let's get together. Okay, we're going to collaborate. I bring this. I need this. Each person makes a list. Here's what I bring. Here's what I need. So it's a get give list. Written expectations. What do we expect to achieve doing this? If you don't write them down, you're inviting conflict. You're inviting disagreement because I thought this, I thought that. What are the tangible results that you want to get and they want to get? Look at it. Does it match? Don't work with somebody you can't trust. It's a trusted relationship. So the communication, leadership generally, but especially here, are based on relationships. Relationship is the key to what we're doing. And then if somebody is radically different in their values and their operations than we are, you're inviting conflict from the very beginning. Understand their core values, understand their guiding principles. And then because we've done all this, we have a trust. We trust each other. So it does not come, you don't start there. That's the last one. You're an effective leader because you balanced, you're not working 15 hours a day. You've balanced your life, your personal life with your work life. You balanced yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. What are those aspects of our being? We're not a human doing, we're a human being, as Wayne Dyer used to say. And then balance all those things that are going on. You're leading a lot of things that are happening. The more you can engage people one at a time, have conversations, build trust, get to know people, the more you can build. This is another good reason to network, to collaborate with a business leader, because many business leaders can assign volunteer hours to their staff as an in-kind donation. They can give space. There's lots of things that they can do that is part of their business. It's not going to hurt them. It would benefit you immensely. So balancing is learning how to create systems, managing those systems, and then growing in your ability to maintain those systems. If we're frantic, we're stressed, we're anxious, that's contagious. If we're calm, focused, confident, that's what you're going to get. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, James Allen said. So if you're okay, things are good, fine. You got enough money coming in, you're not stressed, blessings. If you want to change any of those, you need something different in the future, decide it's going to be different. Decide now and decide to do something about it. So get on the list. We're going to open up the community between the 15th and 21st. It's only open once a quarter for new members. We start with a group that can collaborate together. If you bring in another collaborating partner, it's at a huge discount. One membership is $40 a month. If you bring in a partner like a business leader, somebody that's connected to your organization is the rule. It's two people in the organization. It's another $10. So for $50, two people get access to a large amount of content that you can sequence to your needs. You can choose from our library things that you need. And you have weekly Q&A sessions, weekly masterminds that you can participate, and they happen at different times for different time zones. So what better than to get together and get an energy shot, get a clarity shot, get some inspiration from others working in the trenches. We think we're doing different stuff, but we're not. We're doing a lot of things that are similar in terms of systems and processes and leadership. The actual work is different, but there's a lot of synergy in what we see and do and what we're challenged with together in business and nonprofit. So Nonprofit Leadership Online is where you go. Get on the list, because I'm going to open the community midnight on the 21st. It's closing. You're out. So you can try it for $40. If it doesn't work, there's no commitment. You can say stop. And you get to keep all the stuff that you get. You get several $100s worth of materials when you log in. You get it right away. So you can learn my step-by-step process of going from where you are to where you want to be. We start by defining the current reality, and then we go to where we want to be. So let's create a pathway that we can manage with all the things in life. And how do we simplify and regain control over our life and our schedule? And then you'll network and build a network of peers. One of the big problems nonprofit leaders tell me they face is they feel all alone and like they're a lone ranger trying to figure things out. Well, this is a place for camaraderie. If that's the only thing, that's valuable. $10 a week gets you a lot of camaraderie, but it gets you wisdom, gets you support, gets you a lot of stuff. So I'm going to start a cohort. It's a collaboration cohort. If you don't have a business leader, borrow one here. There are lots of, I'm a business leader, so we learn to collaborate together. So join alone at the $40. You're in this cohort, you're collaborating. So we provide the system for collaborate. We achieve more together. If you have somebody connected and you can add that person later, should you want to, then that increases, it amplifies the energy. Now, you can apply for membership. There's an application process, and you're approved. Then you can join this exclusive community away from the noise and the clatter and the confusion of social media. We're already distracted enough. You don't have those. So get on the list. And on the 15th and that whole week, I'll be sending notices. You can register now, and you can start making a difference now. Now's the time to focus in on getting those year-end donations that a few haven't given all their money. A few companies have held out for the last month to spend money on marketing, and some are digging in deeper. They've been blessed with some extra income, and they're digging in deeper and making it work. So you don't want to say in January, I wish I had. Let's try it. You're going to get a no. Well, if you don't ask, it's a no anyway. So what have you lost? So let's get the options. Let's see how we can expand this year to prepare for next year, lay down the tracks for next year. So this is Hugh Ballou. That's the last slide. So it opens soon. Get on the list. We'll be in conversation. I hope there was something here that was valuable to you. And if you get on the list, you got here somehow. This is the beginning of an ongoing conversation. We're in community. Community is where we work together. So thank you for being here and thank you for your notes. And I will see you on the other side sometime. So thank you so much. And I'm going to log off.